Welcome to Sea of Whales, the Whale Geek podcast, where whale watching and whale research meet. I'm your host, Shauna Prince, scientist and whale watch operator, bringing you conversations with whale researchers and ocean experts from around the globe. Let's dive in. Today, we're joined by Julie Huntington of the Whale Relase and Stranding group. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, Shauna.
Thanks for joining me today. Julie and Wayne were on our last episode, and I think we ended by saying, I hope we don't see you until you're out here berry picking. And then we had to call them on Wednesday. So we had found an entangled humpback whale. We were out looking for whales on our Wednesday morning trip, and we're having a hard time finding any. There were a lot of seiners in the bay, and headed across between Bonaventure Head and Horse Chops and found an animal just by seeing the white pectoral fins kind of glowing under the surface. And the whale was surfacing rather strangely. So not with the blowhole coming up first and not with a dorsal fin when it was coming up. And it became really obvious that we saw three surfaces of the same whale, and it became obvious that there was a problem. And then on the third surface, it turned its head towards us and we could see the rope over its head. So we knew that there was something on the go. So I don't know how we had cell signal out there, because usually we don't, but we were able to make a quick call to Wayne and Julie, who came out from St. John's and were ready to go. But sadly that day, the wind had increased so much that it wasn't possible for them to get out and do any work on the whale. So they headed out early Thursday morning. Well, I guess that's where it will start from there. So I think it's important for people to realize that, when we're whale watching, the conditions that we can be out in are a little bit different than you, who need to be hanging over the side of a boat trying to see, what kind of gear is on this whale and cutting it off. So your sort of level of conditions that you can be out in is very different. So it makes it much harder. What you do, my goodness, let me tell you, is it's such important work, but I know it's hard work. So want to tell me sort of what you saw when you got to the whale?
Well, we saw what you described, a whale that was just surfacing, it like
fighting.
It was trying to come up and breathe. And that it remained that way for a long time. But as we got more and more ropes and netting off of it, it surfaced higher and higher. But even when we got the majority of the gear off the whale, it still could not lift its tail, which was kind of indicative to us that it had been entangled for some time. It had gear on it. It had a cod gill net on it, and other gear that was quite heavy. It was like an inch rope, and that rope had this kind of invertebrate called an octocoralla or octocorallus, and it takes like a year for it to grow to the size it grew to. So we don't know what gear was first, or if it picked up, some gear. But it did seem like the heavy gear was, through its mouth. But at the same time, the gill net was through its mouth. So what you were seeing from the surface was the pectoral fins out wide like a T.
Yes.
But when we looked underwater, on the back, there wasn't a lot. And then when you looked under the body of the whale, there was this like entire gill net down there.
Crazy.
From
the mouth to the tail. Yeah. So it really looked like, and we had told you that, like, it looked like she was hogtied. So like head to tail, like she was really like kind of in a C shape and battling then for every breath. So, really crazy. So when you were working on the whale, I understand that there was some gear that was particularly difficult to get off. You want to talk about that?
Well, all of it.
All of it was not easy.
It was like all difficult. First of all, can I say that people came by and wanted to offer help to dive in the water and help us, and that is not something any whale group does. No disentangling groups go underwater to disentangle a whale because of the danger to themselves. If they got caught in any of that gear, and the whale moved a little bit, that could cause them embolism and death. And that's what's occurred. People who have gone underwater, not
Mm-hmm.
everyone, but people have died trying to disentangle a whale under the water. That's why
Mm-hmm.
we work from the surface with specialized tools, and those tools are either something to get hold of the gear or
Yes.
to cut the
Yes. Yeah.
and so we looked underwater, and we saw the first thing that we thought we could work with was a rope around the whale's head. It was around the
Mm-hmm.
top of the
Which is what
whale.
we saw. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first rope that we cut, was
Yeah.
that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because that alone would, start freeing its mouth from being completely held on to
Mm-hmm.
the um, the tail fin. Uh,
Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and we uh, we cut that, and we were looking at other things to cut. It was difficult. We ended up bringing up a huge snarl of netting and lead rope, and this heavy rope that
Mm-hmm.
had this octo coral on it, this
Mm-hmm.
growth of this animal. And we got that. We brought that up to the boat
Mm-hmm.
as we could, and we cut that, and we ended up bringing that over to the DFO conservation officer's boat and
Mm-hmm.
putting it on board their boat. And yeah, it it
It's a
was
lot of
it
gear.
messy, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
gear. Yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of gear to pull up. But that allowed the whale, a lot more movement, but it was still attached head to tail.
Mm-hmm.
So we went in working underneath, mostly underneath the right side, like you could say armpit, between
Mm-hmm. Yep.
uh, the pectoral
Pectoral
fin
fin.
and its
Yeah.
side. And we were able to grapple the gear and cut it. And then when I look at the video afterwards, we were able to get all of that netting that was between the head and the tail, and we brought that up in another clump. So
Mm-hmm.
that's difficult because you think a rope you can maybe cut if there's tension on it, but when
Mm-hmm.
you have a gill net, it's much more
Mm.
snarly, and
Yes. Yeah.
you think it's thin and easy, but it tends to knot up in different ways.
Yes. Yeah.
We were able to get that off. That I was like very impressed with the new person working with us. He was able to. He's not new. He's worked with us this full season,
Mm-hmm.
and we were able to bring that on board, get
Mm-hmm.
that off of the whale,
Yeah.
and that left us with a few more things that we worked on. And the whale was able to bring its back right up, so we were
Nice.
very
Yeah.
happy for that.
Yeah.
It never brought its tail up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because what happens when a whale gets entangled, and they're entangled for a long time, it's just like if you sat in a position for a long time, or if you were
Sure. Yeah.
like in traction and
Yeah.
your limb was in one position for a while, it takes a while to understand that you can move it again.
Yeah. And then you'd
And
be
then,
stiff. Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what we ended up with is there may have been some left on the whale, but the whale went on, and it, you sent us a picture of a whale that had gear on it, and we're still trying to check if that's the
Mm-hmm.
whale with the that had the gear on it. We're talk to the person that took the photos. We haven't yet. We sent out an email and
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm-hmm.
some more information, what time he took those pictures, and
Yeah. Yeah.
if he had any more of the back, of the whale.
Yes, because that would get you a little bit more. Because you have dorsal shots, right? You have
Yes.
dorsal fin shots. Yeah. So, I mean, dorsals can be matched fairly reliably sometimes. So that would certainly help, right? But that whale that was spotted off Buena Vista, I mean, the scarring that's on it is significant. So, I mean, that whale has for sure been entangled, whether or not it's this whale, because as you say, it didn't bring its tail out. And that's sort of the license plate that it displays for us so that we can tell who it is. So I would expect also when that whale heals up that there will be significant, white marking on that black skin where it was wrapped up, right? So you said that this whale, you had to leave it with a little bit of gear on it still. So was that around the peduncle?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it just went on and we saw that it was moving. So,
Mhm.
and, that's unfortunate. It's something we're almost ashamed of, but I don't know if we should
Yeah.
have had some gear on it, but it was like we were so close to the tail,
Mhm.
that the rope was gonna be able to unravel itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if this is the whale that was spotted off Bonavista, it does not have gear on it anymore. So you were in a position where the whale was all the rest of it was free and it could move and it did move. And then it's in a situation where like, do we risk it when you have this whale that has all this mobility now to try to cut off that one last piece, or do you leave it to let it,
Mhm.
loosen up and hopefully come off on its own? And that's, a decision that I respect that you have to make sometimes. And, but not being tied head to tail is a very big step for that animal.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Right.
right.
So like that's a huge one. Really battling for every breath, when we saw it. I've not ever seen a whale behave that way before.
No, and it
And
wasn't doing that when it got, when it got
yeah, right.
disappearing.
Yeah.
Like,
Just being able
wow.
to have a normal breath and not have to battle to get to the surface to breathe. So the gear that you cut off was very heavy, you said.
There was
Yeah.
lead in it, and
Yeah.
and then there was this like inch rope, which is like some kind of old gear. We got a number
Hmm.
off of the gill net. We've given it to fisheries, and
Hmm.
they'll, hopefully be able to trace where and when
Yeah.
tag was put on the gear. So
Hmm.
we'll
It's
get some knowledge
yeah.
from that.
Yeah. So we do know that it's Canadian fishing gear at the very least. So we do know that it's from, or do we
Yeah,
even know that? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was marking that showed Newfoundland gear.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not been towing it from like the Caribbean or somewhere.
No, that's
No.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a success story, right? To be able to do this. And I know that I've been around when you all have been there before, on the Somerville rescue we talked about on the last episode, and just like everybody wants to talk to you when you come in and whatever. I mean, it's a crazy job. And it's certainly not, it's something that everybody wishes they could do, but absolutely cannot. Right. So, I mean, that's, it's a thing, but
And
being
we
able to
really,
help.
yeah, we really
Yeah.
appreciate the offer, but it's like I'm just looking at the gear now. It's just dangerous. It's
Hmm.
dangerous to uh well, it's dangerous for us, and
Yes.
we have the equipment,
Hmm.
but for someone else to move in there and think that the whale's going to remain calm while they work on it is
Yeah, that's not always how it goes. And you have to
yeah,
make a decision at some point about, your own safety and what's in the best interest of the animal, and,
yeah.
go from there. Weigh it all and see what's best. What kind of gear? I did hear that in the end with the lead line, you had to cut it old school like they would have in the 70s with like a knife, because nothing else would work on that. So what are you normally using? I've seen some of your gear, but can you explain it to people who are listening? Like what kinds of things do you have?
Okay, so we use a knife that was like designed by Wayne, and it's a hook, and it's got some razor blades in it, razor sharp blades, serrated blades in it that we replace all of the time. Um, but then we have another specialized tool that has four of those blades together
Mm-hmm.
and a weight on the bottom of it so it will sink
Mm-hmm.
quicker. Hopefully.
Yeah.
And then we were using both of those. The single one we were using on a pole. So it was a pole knife, and the other
Mm-hmm.
one we used on the end of a rope. So that's where we were able to move in close and
Mm-hmm.
then throw it to the point that we wanted it to get in the gear, and then it got caught in the gear, and then we could feel when it broke through rope
Yes. Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
slices. It's pretty good at slicing through, although This one, when it was caught in the gill nets, it did bend. So we were quite
Wow.
surprised to get it back on
Wow.
with this bend in it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you've got everything reset, repaired, ready to go for the next call.
Yeah, that night, well, that night when we came home, we took it all apart,
Yeah.
washed it down, got ready, and
Yeah. Because you never know. I mean, you might not get a call for the rest of the summer and might get one in an hour, right? Like it's
right.
really hard to say. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll be really interested to find out if it is that whale that was off Bonavista, Vista, because if she swam all the way from Trinity to Bonavista, Vista, though I realize in terms of how far these whales travel, that's very short distance, but it means that everything's working well.
Right.
And, she's otherwise, doing well, because we really don't know sometimes what happens and where they go and those kinds of things. Like you said, because we don't get tail shots, they're not doing always the normal whale things, right? Like the big deep dives and all of those kinds of things. So, really, really neat to see if it is one of those. And I'm sure for you guys too, to be like,
yeah,
the kids are all right kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, we would be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be really nice to know.
Our purpose is to disentangle the whale so that it can go on with its life activity.
Yes. Yes.
So that it can recreate and
yeah.
and feed. And so if anything impedes that, then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When whales have gear in their mouths, so baleen is kind of bristly, so it'd be like getting it stuck in a bush, right? So then, so you cut what you can see on either side. Are you able to pull it out, like from one side or the other, or what do you do there?
That would damage the baleen, and we've seen whales with part baleen sticking out.
Yes, I've seen that before.
So we don't recommend any pulling of the rope out of the whale's mouth. What is cut as close to the mouth as possible, and then our belief is that whale will somehow
shed it
out shed that gear. Yeah.
Yeah. I wondered about that. We had a bowhead that was in Bonavista Bay maybe a decade ago ish. And its baleen was like stuck out weird from one side. Yeah. And I wondered, but their baleen, of course, is like 2 meters long, where the bow is the biggest. And so it is a lot larger than what we're used to seeing in the baleen whales we have around here also. But that whale wasn't in great shape when it came in, put it that way. So, you wonder about what else has happened in that animal's life for sure. Yeah. So how many humpbacks have you had to respond to this year?
There's this year been 20 that we have responded at least with education and documentation, but specifically with regards to disentanglement, I'd say we're more around 6.
And were they all humpbacks? I'm just wondering.
The ones that we worked on were all humpbacks. Yeah.
Because I wonder if the one off Bonavista is one that maybe you disentangled, a couple of weeks ago, right? Which is definitely possible too, right? So there's more than one whale out there with entanglement scars on it right now, fresh ones, right? So yes. And I mean, they move all around here, as we know, when people are taking pictures and you're starting to see the records on the map. So it's, it's definitely possible that somebody you worked on in another bay is now up here and then moving on. And the same with this whale that you've just cut out from here. So, it'll be interesting to see as time goes on, what we can find, if you're able to match the dorsals, or if we see it again, what will this whale story be? And sometimes I think of them as like old timers, and if you could sit at their knee and have them tell you a story, what kinds of things have they seen and been involved with, and sticky situations they got into it through their lives, between the orca scarring we see and the entanglement scars and the crazy amounts of travel they do to and from the breeding and calving grounds and to the feeding grounds. It's just sort of interesting. If they could tell us their stories, what would they say? Right. Yeah.
It would be fascinating.
Yeah. Anything else you want to like put out there to the public while we have the recording happening of things I know we did a little bit last time. Yeah, I know.
Really appreciate being notified. And then we do our best to get to the site as soon as we can, weather dependent and distance dependent. And if people notify us, we do let DFO conservation officers know. So those are another eyes on the water that are locating whales that have gear on them. But specifically, and I think we said it before, how dangerous it can be to approach a whale with gear on it if it has trailing gear. And most likely it has something trailing, and you don't want to wrap that around your propeller. And
that's what our concern was. So when, first of all, that the animal was stressed and we didn't want to be any closer than we needed to be. And then this animal is clearly tangled badly. And where is that we can't see? Because if it's like netting and you can't see the ropes, I mean, that could end up wrapped around us without, so we just, as soon as we knew it was entangled, it was just like, back off and give it its space, call you guys, and then, hope for the best, hope that it stays in the same place. That was the thing. But because it was so badly entangled, fortunately that one wasn't moving, because I know we've called you before, but when they're on the move, it's really hard. I mean, you can't, right? You can't travel as fast as they can. And, if they're free swimming, it makes it really difficult. Right. So, I'm just so grateful that you guys are here, that there is someone we can call instead of having to watch it unfold without there really being any help, or expertise. So I think, I can't stress enough that what you do is so vitally important to these animals and for this region. And just thank you very, very much for the time that you guys put in. Appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Shauna. And
no worries.
And spreading the word.
Oh my goodness. I think it's so important for people just to know. I mean, it can really, if you don't know who to call, it can certainly delay. It's so rare now that there's a person on the other end of a line when you call. So leaving a message or dealing with an automated service or whatever it is. So if you know the direct line to call, then it makes it so much easier. I've got you guys programmed into my phone, but you want to give people the phone number again?
It's 1-888-895-3003 or 709 895-3003.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much. And they'll come out and help, or they'll advise you on what to do. And like you said, fisheries has been a big resource, and the two that came to help from Bonavista were awesome. And for you guys to just have somewhere to put all that gear so that you're not, running the risk of being entangled in it while it's around your feet in your Zodiac is super important too. Right. So yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And let me know if you hear of that whale being spotted anywhere, and I'll certainly keep you posted if we hear about it. Awesome. Thank you so much.